Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from Alex Merced Coder, and this is going to be the first in a new series of videos going over how to build a website using Buffalo. Okay, this is a backend framework created using the Go programming language, and basically what it does, it just pulls in many different libraries that do a lot of things in you would want in a backend framework and puts them all together in one nice package. This is similar to what basically a lot of different frameworks do. A lot of these batteries included frameworks where they tie together a lot of pieces that work well together and make something and give some structure to it and just make it better. Okay, so it's basically using things like POP for your ORM, which is a Go library for dealing with databases. It uses Mux for routing and handling like sort of HTTP servers, Plush for templating, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff going on under the hood. So let's show you how to start up a new project. So let's clear my terminal. Go back into my main folder of Buffalo projects. Now first thing you want to do is install the Go programming language. So if you are new to the Go programming language, I would suggest that you first watch my series of videos on the Go programming language, which then you need to install that. So go to the Go website and install it. Then you want to go to the Buffalo website and read the docs on how to install Buffalo. I'm not going to walk through installation of these things. There are plenty of tutorials that do a pretty good job of explaining how to do so. But once you have it installed, you want to double check that you do. So the way you do that, you can type in Go to see if you have Go installed, and it's just you do Go. I think it's just version actually for Go. So you just do Go version, and so it'll just tell you the version you have currently. And then for Buffalo, same thing. Buffalo version. Buffalo version. 0.16.8. Okay, anyways. So I got Buffalo installed. Now basically to start up a new project, you can type in Buffalo new and then the name of the project. And then you can type in any flags. Okay, for some reason when I try to create a new Buffalo project, unless I'm doing strictly an API project, it only lets me use one letter for the name. Just a weird thing on my particular machine at the moment. But I'll show you a few things. Okay, so I'll just put W. Now one flag you can do is just flash API, and what this will do is it will only install the things you need to create an API. So things like the templating engine just won't be included. Okay? And what I'm going to use is -- skip yarn. I always forget if it's yarn skip or skip yarn. But what that does is by default, Buffalo is going to use yarn for JavaScript package management. So if you don't already have yarn installed on your machine, it's going to throw an error when you're starting up the project. Like, I don't have yarn, so it does that for me. So first, let me just double check the command. So let's see here. You just type in Buffalo help. Okay, there we go. And what I want to do, build. Yep, I get all that. Version, flags. Okay. So I want to do help. Or Buffalo -- help. Buffalo -- help. Okay, that just gets me the same thing. I'll do this. Try this. Buffalo new help. There we go. So here's the different things you can skip. So like again, if you want to skip the things you don't need, you can skip. Webpack, yarn. So it's skip command first. Okay, but these are all different flags you can use when you're doing, like there's the API one when you're creating a new project. So just so you're aware. Okay, so Buffalo new. We'll just call this T for our test project, because again I have the weird one letter thing, and then we're going to skip yarn. And then I hit enter, and then that'll spin up a new project. So it creates a new folder called T, and it's just going to take a while and install all this. So I'm going to pause while it does that. Okay, it's still installing and will probably take a while, but I can start giving you guys a tour of what's in there. So this is the basic folder structure of a Go project. So the Go offers you a lot of cool stuff. Okay, like they offer you this Docker file, which basically sets up a template for you to be able to deploy your project using Docker once it's complete, which is really cool. Okay, Then you will also be able to. You also have actions. Actions is generally where you're going to be doing a lot of your work. This is where all your routes are set up. So basically, generally, app.go is the heart of your application. That's where essentially your server is set up, and you can set up your routes. Okay, and generally, what happens is that you will have, if you ever use like Express, you sit there and you have the route, and then there would be a function that handles the route. That's generally going to go here in home. So let's see actually if we can actually go and look in these files yet. Yep, cool. So we go in this file. Let's just, again, this is just a Go file, so it imports all these libraries over here. This whole folder is a package called Actions. So basically everything in this folder is available. Okay. Here we're just bringing in, and if you're new to Go and how it handles environmental variables, that's what this is. It allows you to pull in environmental variables. So you do have a .env file, which is right here. So you might be familiar with that if you've used like environmental variables in other languages. And then those are pulled in using this type of syntax, env.get, and then you put in the key, okay, of the variables you're getting. Okay, well actually in this case it looks like Go env. We're setting it to environment, but var app. Okay, this is just the application object. Again, there's nice little documentation throughout. Here's the actual function that kind of starts the application. Just some stuff about SSL. This is your param logger for logging. Trying to think what's the useful stuff here. Here's where you start setting up your routes, and this is basically the format of a route, which looks pretty straightforward. App.get / so this is the root route, and it uses this handler function. Okay, so where can we find that function? It's going to be in this home file, home.go. And you can just do all your routes in here if you want, or you can make other Go files in there and do your routes there, as long as you just keep it as part of this package called Actions. But home handler, basically one thing gets passed into it. So it's not like Express where you're being passed in a request and response object. Instead, it's more like Koa, where the response and the request and response object gets wrapped around this one object called context. Okay, and then basically context includes this R thing, which is basically your response writer, with which you can make responses. So here we're rendering a template. So C for context, we're going to use the render function to render a template, and this is just an HTTP status. Okay, so we're saying the stat make the response at 200 basically, and render this HTML template, which is index.html, and where it looks is inside your templates folder over here. So then it'll look for index.plush.html, and that's how it knows to use the Plush templating engine. Okay, which if you ever use Python's Jinja, it's very similar. It's just basically you use a caret and a parentheses. Actually, it's probably more similar to EJS in JavaScript, but basically it's this syntax here. And again, you use the equal sign when you're going to print something to the screen, like when you're actually printing the variable into the HTML, and you don't have the equal sign when you're just doing like a for loop or an if in your HTML template. I'll probably go over that in more detail in a future video in this series, but that's essentially how this works. So let's just kind of recap. Essentially, your app starts here in app.go. Here it's going to look for routes. Okay, there's an example route. Okay, each route has a handler function, which are defined in the home file. Okay, or you can make a file for each handler, or you can put them all in one, or make a handler.go file, whatever you want to do. Okay, and again, each handler function always return or takes in this Buffalo context thing. It may typically return an error, and does that, and you just render something, or you just get the response with something. So you can do like c.render, c.json, if you're doing like an API response. Okay, and that is good. Okay. Now this assets folder is where you'd stick all your static assets, which would be available at your URL /assets, and then you go from there. So you can actually build out your whole website in here if you just wanted to do like a static HTML website. and serve it that way. You would just you would just do like a redirect on your root route to wherever that file is. So that's what that is. This is just where you put all your CSS files, photos, anything you need to refer to. Config, these are just configuration files that are using TOML. Okay. And most of this you probably don't need to play with, unless you're doing something particularly special. Fixtures, I don't think you really need to do anything there and there. Models, this is where you would define your models for your database, and so you can migrate it. Okay, again, this uses an ORM called POP. Okay, so here's just an example of one. So basically here, the var is your DB. Let me just think about how this one works. Actually, no, that's just the connection file. Here we go. This is like a test model here. Okay, I will come up with a better example. We'll do in a future video. But that's where you define your models. Then you can do, you can do like buffalo migrate and some other commands. This is your node modules folder, because again, there's going to be JavaScript modules that are at play here. Like, let's take a look at what's in here. Async, Bluebird. Yeah, there's stuff in there. Okay. So it uses a lot of that under the hood as it builds out your project once you're done. Your public folder. Okay, this is just actually when it builds out your project, it's going to build it out to here. Okay, templates. Again, we already went through the templates. This is a Babel file for transpiling any JavaScript you have. Okay, pretty simple preset. Your buffalo.dev. This is a YAML file with some settings. Let's take a look what's in here. App root, ignored folders, included extensions.go.env. Not quite sure what that is needed for at the moment. The main important things, again, here's your .env file for environmental variables. The database.yaml file, this is where you would configure your database. And look, it's finally done. Okay, and then pretty much that's pretty good there. But once it's done installing, like it just got done installing, what you can do is you can run the command buffalo dev, and this would start the dev server, although it doesn't like it, probably because I haven't done any migrations yet. You need to, oh, I didn't go inside the folder. That would explain it. CD T. So I'm in the folder. Let me run buffalo dev again. It's gonna run the thing. Okay, and I think we're give it another second. I think we're good though. Library though. Okay, good. It's getting there. Good. Watching the files. Good. Okay. So let's go over here. It'll just be your standard localhost 3000. If you wanted to change the port, you could put it in a flag when you run buffalo dev. Okay, and this is just sort of your default page. Okay, and right now it's just complaining because it couldn't connect to Postgres. So let me just put in the information for Postgres. I'm pretty sure I have a test user. So let me go to the database.yaml. So the user is going to be test, and I'm pretty sure the password for test is test. That I don't need to change. Okay. Well, that's going to save automatically. And then what I need to do is I need to do buffalo. I think it's pop -a, I think is the command. And that's just going to basically quickly create the database based on this. So essentially what it's going to do is going to create a database called tdevelopment, create another database called ttest, and another database called tproduction, depending on the environment. Okay, let's see here. Buffalo pop A, another shorthand flag. Well, let's just do the help. Buffalo pop There we go. Creates a database for you. Buffalo pop. Destroy, drop, generates config, model, migration files, runs migrations, drops. Okay, I think I want to do, and let's see if there's any good ones here. Yeah, it's just one thing I want to do. I don't think you really need to do the buffalo dash pop, but I'll do it. Buffalo. Yeah, I spelled that all funny. Buffalo pop. What else is it saying there? Pop. Create. There we go. Create the databases. Let's run buffalo dev again. And I might as well just show you guys the help command there. Cool. Okay, I guess I didn't really have much to say there. In the docs, it shows you what the flag is if you wanted to change the port. Actually, I think you're just setting an environmental variable right up over here, right before it. But buffalo dev, let's run that command. Okay, this time it shouldn't give me that same error. Waiting for it to get to the part where I can visit the website. Okay, there we go. So now if I refresh, and here you go. This is basically the introductory page. Once you are connected, again, there's only that one root route. Okay, which is just basically this. So nothing too crazy. And just to kind of show you the assets folder. So again, you can put static assets right here in the assets folder. I'm just going to put a test.html here. A test.html here. We'll just make a quick HTML template, HTML5. I want to put hello world here. Okay, and that's fine. Now let's go over here and type in /assets /test. Oh wait, no, not /test, /test.html. And you get hello world. Okay, so you can put static HTML files there, but again, ideal world, you're using a handler for them. So let's create another route real quick, and then we'll end this first video there. So I'll just copy this, Control C. I'm going to call this test handler. It's going to complain because the function doesn't exist yet. And we're going to call this route test. Okay, then I'm going to head over to home. I'm just going to copy this function. Test handler. Except we're going to render test.html. Cool. And I'll just let that's just a warning. That's fine. Now let's go to our templates folder over here. I'm going to create a new file called test.plush.html. Okay, and what I can do is first we'll just create an HTML template, HTML5. And what we'll do is we'll just do a quick this parentheses if true. Okay. And I do need to look at the documentation for that real quick. Buffalo templates, front end templating. The docs are pretty decent. There are some things I wish I would embellished on, but let's just do a quick if statement in Plush. I just want to see an example. There we go. And actually, we'll just copy that exact example. Copy. Okay, so basically if, and we'll say won't render this, we'll just say hello, goodbye. So right now it should render goodbye because it's false. So it should render the else. Okay. So now let's go back to our page here. And now we'll just go to our test route. And again, that test route we said uses that test handler, which the test handler renders the index.html, which puts it through the templating engine. So I hit this. Okay. Takes me here. I guess it wants me to be specific with the slash. So it's gonna. Ooh. It is not letting me send it to the route yet. I think there's another setting I gotta set up, but I'm not gonna figure that out now. But you guys got the idea. So you guys kind of get the lay of the land at the moment. Let me just double check, make sure that I set that all up fine. Home.go, test.html, r.html, status okay, test handler, app.go, app.get. Oh, let's do it. I'll just do that. Okay, I want to see what happens if I'm more specific in my handler. So in my handler, I'm going to put test.plush.html, although I'm pretty sure you don't have to do that. And let me just check what I called the file. Test.plush.html. Okay, let's give it a shot. Oh, now it works. Yep, I just had to be more specific in the file name. So see, now it says goodbye. And if I go back to the template and then change this to true, now it'll say hello because it is true. Hello. Okay, so you have a templating language. Although, again, more than likely, you'll probably just use the API features, create an API, use like React or Angular or Vue to consume the API. But you have the option, or you can mix the two. You know, there's all sorts of cool things you can do. But my name is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com. Have a great day and enjoy.